Seahawks load the line and bring pressure. Rodgers has it picked off by Leonard Williams. His old house. He sure is. A pick six. And he flips the game. Charbonnet powers through. Charbonnet scores.
And there it is. The Seattle Seahawks gain another game in the NFC West thanks to their victory against the New York Jets. Now, before I get more into this, here's a word from our sponsor, SeatGeek. SeatGeek is a mobile ticketing app for sporting events, concerts, and other events. They make the buying experience easier by the app ranking each ticket from 0 to 10 to see if you are getting a good deal, and you can see exactly where you are sitting. I regularly use that app, and I have had nothing but a fantastic experience with SeatGeek. Use my promo code RoofTopSports to get $20 off of your first purchase. Link to the code, app, and website will be in the description, so take advantage, and thank you. So yes, I just want to say thank you for using that promo code. Hopefully that you use those $20 of savings to good use. So the Seahawks defeated the New York Jets, and let me check the score really quick. It was 26-21, and this was a huge victory because initially I thought this was going to be a difficult game for the Seahawks. Yes, the Jets are terrible this season, especially when they fired their coach and other front office personnel. But also the fact that the Seahawks have never defeated Aaron Rodgers on the road. Now, granted, they were mostly against the Packers, but I guess for whatever reason, Aaron Rodgers seems to have the Seahawks number. He actually usually does in the majority of his career anyway. And the other surprising part was the fact that Geno Smith was playing against his former team, the New York Jets, where he did not have necessarily a good exit with the New York Jets due to getting punched in the jaw by a former teammate. So I thought like maybe fans were going to be up against him, team was going to be motivated, and also the Jets have a pretty solid passing defense too. And let me check and see how is their passing defense. In terms of yards allowed, they are second in the NFL in yards allowed. And yet Geno Smith, I believe he came up with more than 200 and he still didn't even throw an interception. So credit to Geno Smith on that one. And I usually don't say that a lot. I usually don't credit Geno Smith very much. But here was the quick summary of the game. The first half was just absolutely strange. First, Geno Smith had a hard time just moving the ball in general. And that's where the Jets jumped out to a 14-0 lead. But then luckily, the Seahawks did recover to make it 14-7. But then the Jets immediately responded with a kick return to make it 21-7. And then the Seahawks fumbled again, as if they fumbled quite a bit in this game. They fumbled and gave the ball away. But then again, Aaron Rodgers throws a pick six on Leonard Williams. And Leonard Williams, boy, has he been such an asset for the Seahawks. And here is exactly how he's been doing. Here is exactly how he's been doing in his last two games. 10 tackles, 6 tackles for loss, 4.5 sacks, 1 interception, 1 touchdown return, which was the pick six, 6 quarterback hits, and 2 pass deflections. So Leonard Williams has been extremely effective for this team. Now, let me finish this summary. Seahawks special teams, oh my God, they were terrible in the first half mostly. But fortunately, and then it gets even more when the Seahawks were starting to come back. It was about 21-16. But the Seahawks they were going for it on fourth down, but then they got stopped. But at that point, I was like, maybe the Seahawks should have just taken the 3 points and the field goal, which eventually didn't really matter anyway because the Jets fumbled the ball again, which eventually led to a Jason Myers field goal. And then eventually the Seahawks were in position to perform a game-winning drive, which Geno Smith, I guess, has been doing it again. Like he's been doing, he has that game-winning drive factor. And I usually don't say that. I usually do still think that he is a choke. But he gave it to Zach Charbonnet for the touchdown. And then Aaron Rodgers had his last stand to try to throw a Hail Mary. It failed, and we've seen Aaron Rodgers complete those Hail Marys before, one against the Detroit Lions back in 2015 and also against the Arizona Cardinals back in 2015, but didn't happen this time. And another fun, crazy fact about the Seahawks at MetLife Stadium, they were undefeated going into it, so I probably should have checked those stats. They're 4-0 against the Giants, 1-0 against the Jets, and then they have a Super Bowl victory, so that made it 6-0. But besides the point, the Seahawks absolutely dominate in MetLife Stadium, so they did very well. Of course they did. And I guess credit to the defense. They have really carried this team very well throughout the last few weeks, especially after that humiliating defeat against the Rams. And that seemed to have been the wake-up call. And now let's go into the NFL standings. Seahawks now have the lead in the NFC West, 1 game ahead against the Cardinals and the Rams. And the 49ers, now they're 2 games ahead. And boy, the 49ers got absolutely humiliated against the Buffalo Bills. Like, they just got absolutely just embarrassed. Like, to say that the 49ers got embarrassed would be an absolute understatement. Like, we're talking just destroyed humiliation. Now, let's go into the stats of the Seahawks game, shall we? So Geno Smith, 206 yards. How convenient. 206 yards. Number 206, Seattle area code. Russell Wilson also threw 206 yards at MetLife Stadium in the Super Bowl as well. 1 touchdown, gave up 3 sacks because offensive line just is not there. Running game is still not there as well. None of them even combined for 100 yards. Jackson Smith and Jigba had 4 key catches for 74 yards. DK Metcalf with 4 receptions, so those were the leading receivers. But of course, the most valuable player of this game was obviously Leonard Williams, a defensive lineman that also used to play for the Giants. So I guess he was well familiar with that environment. So that worked out pretty well. But now let's take a look and see what is to look forward to for the Seahawks. They will be playing at Arizona. It's going to be a huge game. It's going to be at Arizona. I already said that. And it's going to be a very tough game. They've got to win that game. They've got to win that game against Kyler Murray. Bottom line is, it's going to be a huge game for the Seahawks. NFC West. It's going to be for who can take control of that division. And I think if the Seahawks do win that game, then their chances of making the playoffs and winning division would be significantly high. So let's hope that Geno Smith and the defense still keeps carrying over and get another victory before they play against the Green Bay Packers, because that one will also be a challenge. That's going to be a Sunday night football game in Seattle. So going to be huge challenges ahead, and I just want to see what that schedule is for the remaining of the season. Now I'm very curious what it's going to be. Then they've got the Vikings at home. That's going to be a tough game. Then the Bears on the road, and then they'll be playing at Los Angeles. Time is to be determined. Maybe it'll be a primetime game. Who knows? So we'll see. But that's going to do it. If I just give you a quick update on how I felt about the Seahawks for this week. Just want to say thank you very much for watching, and thank you for supporting this channel. And don't forget to subscribe. Go Hawks.